informative and contains my opinion and understanding of the subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our live. I'm Jaime Vona, and this is Dr. Schultz. And we are here to talk about Bryan Kohberger and the latest. So when was the last time we met? We haven't talked about Kohberger in a while.
Yeah, I think it's been like a month or so.
Has it? So there's been a lot since the last time you were here. So I do want to get your opinion on a few things tonight. Okay. So let's get started. So let's see who's here. We have a couple people that are still coming in. So while people are coming in, we won't get into anything too crazy at first. Maybe we'll start with I found a video that gives us an update of what's happening. So I know that I can only play it and then stop it type thing for, I don't know, copyright reasons, but you are allowed to use it. So let's see what happens. Let me share this. Okay.
It's currently scheduled for August. One of those filings includes the state obtaining a search warrant for Kohberger's Amazon click history. The state claims that they have evidence showing that the months before the killings, Kohberger purchased a K-bar knife, which is the same style as the alleged murder weapon. Purchased it with a sheath and a sharpener, all purchased from Amazon. Now, the defense has asked the judge to exclude any Amazon evidence, arguing that the click activity was from a family account. Well, as we know, the DNA on the knife has been a very hot topic at previous hearings.
Okay. So what do you think about this so far, about the Amazon thing? Do you think this is like a sure thing?
I don't think anything is a sure thing, but I think it's very damning for him, especially with the fact that he hasn't had it in his possession. First of all, like when they looked at his house, nothing was on the itemized list from his house that he possessed it at that time. You have the fingerprint on the sheath that was left at the scene. You have the fact that he purchased the exact type 8 months prior to the murders. And then, even though listening to some people, it may not have a lot of weight, he apparently tried purchasing those exact same things after the murders as well. So,
So what do you think he did that for? Like, what's your opinion? Do you think, because I guess you would either say that he did that to either replace what he already had, right? To say, like, if anybody asked where his was, he could be like, it's right here. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yep. And then the other thing, go ahead.
Yeah, the other theory is like that he was doing it to use it again, but I guess can't both be true?
Both can be true. I think the first is more plausible at that time because he knew that he dropped it somewhere and who knows where that is, but I forget what I was going to say, but I think, there's a theory on the part of the defense that has been discussed where they're going to talk about how they think it was stolen from him and that's why he doesn't have it. And he was trying to replace it because it was stolen. And this was like a setup. And I'm like, that is far-fetched, but I guess we'll see.
I don't understand that. My whole thing is like, it is so hard for people to keep a secret. Like you would have to, a whole police department would have to be in, because that's usually who they think planted it on them was the police department. And it's like, why him? Like, what is so great about him that they're going to frame him? It's not like he's like some massive, dealer or something that they're trying to and even that, I don't see it happening, but I'm just saying and you would have to be able to keep a secret. And there's so many things that have been leaked already and stuff and there's always leaks. I feel like there would have had to been something I don't think it's very plausible.
Well, I think the other evidence that they're bringing forth basically corroborates the whole, you were probably there. And, they're looking at the timelines. They're looking at his cell phone towers. They're looking at his car. All of those things. He was in the area at the time. You don't even live in the state. So there's just too many coincidences for me to think that, that setup was going to be a plausible thing.
And good old Nancy Grace would say there's no coincidences in true crime. So wait, let's see what else they have to say.
The court's question, good question. What does that mean? Could it mean there's more than one person? The answer to that is, or it could mean it's not Bryan because his car's got nothing in it and there were only 13 minutes to do this. The magistrate didn't get to know that.
In fact, his DNA is still on the knife sheath, though. That's the problem, counsel, for probable cause purposes.
The state also plans to use.
Okay. So I think that's crazy too. Not crazy. I think it's funny how she'll say something or anybody like a Kohberger will be like, there's only 19 or 13 minutes, but somebody did it. So if not him, who?
So actually the officers, so this came out in all of the paperwork that came out over the last couple of days. In the paperwork, officers actually did everything that was said to have happened and were able to do it in the time frame. So that kind of threw that out the window.
Wow. I think that's like new. I don't think I've heard that at all. So, oh, wow. That's like breaking, you guys. So, all right. So say that again. So the officers they tried to recreate.
Yep. They tried to recreate all of that in the time frame because they were saying, is it possible that, between the time he was there, left, came back, like all of these different things, were you able to kill 4 people and blah, 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 blah. And they said, yes, you were able to do it.
There you go. I think he can run like a 6-minute mile too. Like and my thing is all right. So you could see here, he is clearly like, I don't know. What do you think about this picture?
So I unfortunately, I think they're making it bigger than what it is. I don't think it's going to help them. Does it look damning if it comes to the fact of finding?
But do you really think that's a normal picture?
I mean, I don't normally take selfies in my bathroom, period. But I don't think it proves anything. If you're looking at evidence, if I was a juror, I would look at this and think to myself that it's eerie if he ends up doing it and then takes a selfie before the police were even called because of the time frame. It was like at 10 a.m. or something. However, just looking at it, it doesn't really give you any information per se, if that makes sense.
Do you remember the one picture? Oh my gosh, where he looks like, what's he wearing? He's wearing like, I don't know. Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can find an image. There's like one picture where I feel like it kind of looks like that. And this was back when they said that he had like an eating disorder, or it was like back when he was like using years ago. I think it might have been when he had an eating disorder. It definitely was. And I feel like the picture is like eerily similar as far as like his face being like, I don't know. You don't think he looks like sickly? Maybe not. I don't know.
We knew that he was a fitness like craze person at this point. They talked a lot about the fact that he didn't have a shower curtain, but they can't find that shower curtain. So again, there's no physical.
So wait, isn't it there?
No,
isn't it here though? Like if you look in the picture,
no, there's no shower curtain in the picture.
I feel like I say it. Hold on, I'll show you in a second. But wait, let's look at that. See this picture right here? Do you remember this?
Super thin, super weird. But I think.
But don't you think he kind of looks like that now? Wait, where's that? Of course, it's going to take forever to download. All right. Well, of course, it's not going to. Oh, there you go. It's I guess it was a video. It'll start as soon as I start talking. Oh no, wait. Here it goes. Is it down here? Yes, it's down here. That was 1 of 7. Duh. Where's the picture? All right, it's not showing me different. Oh, yes, it is. It's showing me different ones down here. I'm just going too fast. Anyway, the one where he looked like all gaunt, that was the one I was talking about. I knew that was going to happen. I don't know why I just did that. All right, let me just get off of that one. So anyway, over here where he looks like sickly or whatever, I feel like when I'll show the other picture again now. I'll go back to the StreamYard, sharing that, and then go back to, I'm going to present the other one again.
I think someone on here was saying,
so then coming back to here.
So, is he still using?
That's what I was going to ask. What do you guys think about that? I didn't even see the comments, you guys. I didn't have the comments on this whole time. I don't even know that I thought anybody was in here yet. So wait, can I just say hi to people real quick? Because I am so sorry. I'm not used to us having people come in like us. Well, we do. Truth and everybody's usually here. But let me just say hi. So hi, Nikki and Lucy and Truth. Truth. Mwah. Truth is the best. There are so many things that would have had to been done in order to construct this case against him. That's absolutely right. I agree totally. And you're right. The judge said every day and twice on Sunday when it came to the rule and stuff. So that was good. Hi, Texas. I'm so glad that you're here. Cleo, so glad that you're here. Let's see. Nikki, I'm a recovering addict and he looks like he's on drugs. Nikki, thank you for sharing. I really do appreciate. I love that we're all so vulnerable here. I share all the time too. So when you're here, you'll get to see that as well. But now that you say that, Nikki, do you think that he's actively using again? And if so, and for anybody out there that's listening, if you think that he's using, what exactly do you think he's on? So you're 17 months sober next week. Wow. Congratulations. Wow, you guys. Congratulations. Everybody congratulate Nikki. That's amazing. That's so good. Yeah, congrats. Oh my gosh, 31 years for who? Hey, Texas. Oh, wow. We have another one.
Awesome.
1 years for me. Holy mackerel. Good for you guys. Okay, so we got one in. We got a meth. What do you think?
I don't think it's meth.
No? I know that he was into heroin at one point. And wait, Texas Ranger was thinking meth too. Oh, his pupils. So wouldn't that just be any central nervous system?
Yeah. Well, I feel like if you were on meth or if you were on even heroin, I'm not sure if you would have been able to pull this off.
What about Coke?
Coke, I think you could have pulled it off.
Me too.
And because even though I think he does look better in this picture than in the other picture, he doesn't look as sickly.
No, he doesn't.
I think if you didn't know anything about him, I don't think anybody would think he is sickly or on drugs, actually.
So do you think that it's because we have a picture, we know what he looks like now, like in the courts and stuff?
I think we have a little bit of a bias when we're looking at this too. And I think that's what's happening really with this picture. Everybody's like, oh my God, have you seen this creepy selfie? This wouldn't technically probably be creepy if we didn't have a background story.
Gotcha. Yes. Cleo. Okay. So Cleo says that looking at the bathroom photo, I see someone who's currently a user, but his eyes tell the story of being up all night, which I totally agree. And he obviously, if this is him, he was up all night. He wouldn't have had time to go to sleep. This was taken at 10 o'clock the next morning.
So the psychiatrist who sat with him, he got
tell us about that, because I don't think I've heard a lot about this either.
So the defense did have somebody look at him, and he got diagnosed with a couple different things, but a sleep disorder was actually one of them. So apparently he has sleep issues, and what he does when he has sleep issues is he drives around all night. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
So does Stephan Sterns.
So yeah, so that's what the defense is going to go with for that. The other thing that he got diagnosed with was OCD, and that is what they're saying is why he doesn't have the curtain there in the bathroom, is because he has OCD and he's a germaphobe, right? And again, they talked about the OCD and his sleep issues. He also got diagnosed with ASD, autism spectrum disorder. And they're like, oh, well, that's the reason why he has the flat affect and doesn't really have any emotions. So the defense is trying to use this and did this on purpose to kind of convince the jury and the people in the courtroom that there's no way he could possibly have done these things because of this. However, the number one thing that he actually got diagnosed with, and I had to look this up because I was not familiar with it, was developmental coordination disorder. And I am not sure how they're going to get that ball rolling, because this is normally a childhood disorder of, if and so we don't know enough about like what was found during that process, but apparently like if they crawled late or got breastfed, like weaned off of the breast late, it's like not meeting developmental stages at the time you're supposed to be doing it. So it is highly related to childhood, and then can, then correlate as you're developing throughout the rest of your life. But I feel like that would have been a top story from the beginning with him. He never talked about that when he was blurting all over the internet all of his freaking problems that he had. He never came out and was like, yeah, I have developmental coordinator disorder.
I'm trying not to
I have a learning disability. He never said he had a learning disability of any type. So, but I think the defense is really going to try and use these disorders to prove his innocence.
Okay, well, I think it's obviously bullshit, right? Which I know that you do too, right? Because obviously it doesn't matter, you guys. Even if you have a disorder, that doesn't give you
the right to murder.
Right. And not only that, we both can tell you that you're more likely to be a victim than you are to be a perpetrator. So that's another thing. So keep that in mind. But
the psychologist too also had said that because I diagnosed him with these, there is no possible way he could have committed the murder because of what it would have taken, especially with the developmental coordinator, because he doesn't have the coordination and constantly would be falling or tripping over himself, like someone who's extremely clumsy, I guess. I don't remember what it was, but are claiming that he would not even have the capability to commit the murders.
So then how did he do kickboxing and stuff like that? You know what I mean? Or whatever he did. Like, I feel like there's so many things. Like, I have video of him, so I'm sure so does the prosecution, of like his kickboxing days and stuff. Or I forget what, I saw a picture somewhere, but like there's pictures of him. Oh, when he was doing the police academy thing too. There's a picture of him doing like like he's getting ready, to start running. So my thing is, like, there's way too many things out there. I think even if you look at him walk across the stage with his miserable face for his master's, if I walk finally in May, you guys, like I graduated in August, but I missed the graduation by I kind of did it on purpose too, because I wanted to walk with my two peers and whatever. That's a different story. But anyway, so when I go to walk, if I have a miserable face, please smack me. Like, who doesn't have the biggest, yes, I did it face type thing when you're graduating? He literally walked across the stage, and then just grabs it.
He'll blame it on the autism, I'm guessing.
That's a good one. That's exactly what they're going to do. 100%. So it's funny you were saying about that other disorder. So, what did I write down for that? I don't know, but I wrote something about, I have all of my disorder notes out, but, this is what I was going to ask you. Okay. So they're saying that he has obsessive compulsive disorder. Before I get into this next part, you guys, I do want to point out that this is the defense that paid for this. Okay. So if I'm the defense team and I'm using our defense fund to hire somebody to do a psych eval, let's say I hire 10 people and I get one person that says OCD. And you also have to remember, they probably gave his past records or his past self-diagnoses, even type things like the visual snow and all. I bet you this developmental coordination disorder is going to explain visual snow maybe too. I'm not sure. I don't know. But
I think we also need to remember that he's doing this intake and assessment after the fact. You've been arrested. So if you are trying to get out of this, you might be putting on a show as well. I think it'll depend on, like you said, what early stuff do they have to go off of too.
That's true. You're right. And this is the thing, you guys. So I'm not going to I'm not going to hire someone or want to, I'm not going to get somebody that, let's say they hired me to do a psych eval and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking narcissistic and antisocial personality with schizoid and obsessive compulsive personality traits. They're not going to hire me to go on the stand. Duh, right? So they want somebody that's going to feed their narrative. Because if you think about it, if you look at like serial killers, a lot of them have antisocial and narcissistic personality disorder and even schizoid personality disorder. And they're still eligible for the DP. I think the whole point of this defense is because they're trying to already put out their mitigating factors so that if or when he does get found guilty, that they have something out there like, oh, we're not just coming up with this now. Like we've been saying this all along that he has this or that. And even the fact that they're trying to come up with an excuse for like how his face might look in court, like I'm like, yeah, that's kind of like, to me, and I've put it out there, you guys, I've clearly from the beginning, and let me be like clear so that nobody tries to come after me for this, or Dr. Schultz. We teach psychology. We teach abnormal psychology, which is psychopathology, right? So, and we also can diagnose disorder, but we wouldn't do that to somebody that we've never met before, just like Bryan Kohberger. However, I would argue that unlike postmodern times, in like this modern era, we have more data than we've ever had before. Even, I would argue, more than what we're exposed to in an office. So if I sat with you, anybody watching, for 15 sessions, so let's say for 15 weeks in a row, an hour session, that's 15 hours of me being able to talk to you and, discuss things. Number one, if you're a criminal and you've been court ordered to sit with me, you're not probably going to tell me the same as if you're feeling like hurt and, at the bottom of your, at the end of your rope and you need somebody to talk to. Like that person's going to open up more than somebody who the judge says needs to have a psych eval. Okay. So keep that in mind. What was my point, Anya? Just sum it up for me, because I could go on and on and on.
There's a lot of different things. I think, even in this way, he could have all of these things. But like we said before, it still doesn't, justify the fact that you possibly killed 4 people, And so I think the prosecutor will get their own person to come in as well to counteract it or confirm it or something like that. But I think, the defense is just plainly going to use it to show the people that you can't commit it because I have these disabilities, which again is also not necessarily true either. So it's, he may have these things, he may or may not have killed these people, but in the end, there's other evidence outside of this that condemns him, it seems.
I agree. Truth says that my brother is psychotic with an explosive personality disorder and antisocial personality. Basically, a psychopath who got homicidal when he got pissed, and sometimes because the voices told him to. This would go along with, and again, also remember, you guys, that there are spectrums to a lot of these disorders. So like a personality disorder or autism, for example, both of them are spectrums. So you could have one person that could be antisocial or a sociopath or psychopath that you might refer to in everyday world. There could be somebody that falls on that spectrum at the lower end that maybe is a very good business owner. So they're cutthroat type people. I always say that I'm better working like for somebody as opposed to having people work for me. I'm the type, I would literally be the opposite of Scrooge. I would be like, you don't have enough money, like take my money. Like I would be out homeless because I would give everything away. Like that's just, I would be a horrible, horrible boss in that sense. So you have to be cutthroat and you have to be a little bit narcissistic sometimes too, because you have to believe in yourself in order to get to some of these places. So on the one side, whenever I talk about, and a lot of you have heard me with Dr. Schultz and without Dr. Schultz, talk about antisocial and prosocial behavior, somebody that's antisocial or a psychopath that is aware and they could use their behaviors for pro-social things. So using it maybe to become a therapist so that they could help people in jails, or, so using it in a positive way. And then you could have somebody that uses antisocial behavior, so they use it in a negative way. And that's what I think we're seeing here. And thank you, True, so much for sharing that with us. So I think what Truth is saying here, I don't know that we've seen psychotic, or at least not in any videos that we've seen of Kohberger. But again, I do think that there could be some schizoid traits. I don't know that I would completely say that Kohberger has schizoid personality disorder. In my opinion, and this is not Dr. Schultz' opinion, we could ask her opinion after. In my opinion, I don't think we're dealing with any of the things that the defense had diagnosed. It's my personal opinion, for education purposes only, that we're dealing with somebody with narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, and then traits of schizoid and obsessive compulsive personality disorders. So when I say traits, that just means that I don't necessarily see enough of the criteria to say that, like, I'm willing to bet my money that he's definitely has this disorder. And you can have different personality disorders, especially when they're in the same cluster, which antisocial and narcissistic personality disorders are. However, it is crazy because schizoid and obsessive compulsive personality disorders, one's in cluster A and the other one's in cluster C, which is a little, but again, I think that he has traits of those two, not necessarily the disorder. If you had to, for educational purposes only, what would you say that you're saying?
I would agree with a lot of that. I think if what I'm hearing about his day-to-day living, I think OCD could be there. Possibly. They were talking about how he constantly wears gloves, he separates his trash. So
But was he doing that not to get caught?
I don't know. So like, that's the thing. Like, it's
Yeah.
hard, we're going off of just what we know from what we've heard or listened. Still, me, I always want just more information and more information. But I'm not sure about the schizoid. I'd have to really talk to him to really believe in the schizoid thing. But I do think that we are dealing with some narcissistic aspects and definitely some maybe antisocial. He was a loner. He was a perfectionist. So maybe OCPD rather than OCD itself.
Okay. Do you want to explain that to people real quick?
So OCPD, obsessive compulsive personality disorder, is very similar to OCD, but it has a perfectionism aspect.
So that's the one that I said the trait. So I agree with you.
Rather than what OCD has. OCD is about the obsessions and compulsions, where OCPD are those things, but with a perfection implement to it. And if he was someone who always had to be right, always had to be perfect, it could go narcissistic or OCPD, depending on a lot of other things that are present. Do I think autism is on the spectrum? Well, nowadays, I guess it could be. But again, no matter how we look at it, I don't think he has enough of what they think he has to say that would cause him to not do something or do something. I almost feel like you can't even include those types of things in there. It happened. There's evidence showing that he was at the scene on some level. So what does the mental health at this point, especially when you're not trying to plea insanity or anything like that? Because the one thing I didn't tell you is that they also asked, the defense also is asking the judge to ban the words psychopath and sociopath from the court.
Yeah, why? Right? Why would you want to do that?
I'm so offended by that. If you are so confident that you're not those things, and this is, are you going to use the stigma mentality defense behind it? I don't know. So like, again, I just think all of these things are just so weird. And I feel like
weird
to use mental health to get away with the system. And that I don't really like.
I don't either. So I will say this. So let me just add to that a little bit, just for people who want to know, because this is why they're here, for the psychology aspect of it. I always write my notes down. So I just have here about like things like ego and empathy. So apparent egocentrism. So egocentrism is all about me type thinking. Okay. So it's usually unintentional for people with autism spectrum disorder. So even if they do do something that, let me see, what did I put here? I wrote, people with autism spectrum disorder might monopolize conversations about their interests or miss social cues, which can come off as self-centered, but this is due to impaired social cognition, so poor theory of mind, which we teach, rather than lack of care. In fact, autistic individuals often have intact or heightened empathy, okay? So they usually have heightened empathy, but impaired cognitive empathy. So trouble inferring others' thoughts. So they feel concern and understand that someone's hurt, but they have trouble sometimes inferring others' thoughts. OCD and depersonalization, not depersonalization, I'm sorry, developmental coordination disorder. Yeah, they generally do not involve egocentrism. Any self-focus stems from managing anxiety or limitations rather than grandiosity. So what they're saying is like with OCD, somebody has obsessions and compulsions, and the obsessions are the thoughts, the compulsions are the behaviors. The thing is that the obsessions continue until the person does the compulsion. So at some point they might do something like touch something twice. You know what I mean? And to them, if it means that I have to be present in this moment with Dr. Schultz and I'm really anxious to get rid of my anxiety, I just have to touch this twice or whatever. And so the problem is that if I don't do that behavior, it winds up consuming my thought process. And now I'm not completely there with Dr. Schultz or you or whatever the case may be. So we could see how people give in to their obsessions all the time. So the compulsions would be the behavior. So why would somebody do the behavior? To reduce anxiety. This is the complete opposite of what we see with personality disorder. So just to be clear, impaired social motivation. So a pervasive lack of desire or inability to form genuine connections. For example, schizoid personality disorder is defined by socio-emotional detachment and little interest in close relationships. If you remember his TAPA talks, he said that he sees his whole family hugging and that he feels nothing for them. He feels nothing for his dad, although his dad's a really nice guy, and he doesn't feel anything. He tells us that. Okay. So I also wrote that narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial may engage socially, but only superficially. So think about it. He's able to be a TA. So he has to get in front of the room. He has to be able to debate people back and forth. Even in his doctorate program, he had to be present there and debate his thought process there. So again, he can engage socially, but it's superficial, in my opinion. I also put that narcissists seek admiration and antisocial manipulates others rather than pursuing mutual friendship. So OCPD, or obsessive compulsive personality disorder, might neglect or strain relationships by prioritizing work and rules over intimacy. So they have rigid behavioral routines as well. So again, there's just so many differences here. Maybe I made a chart here, and not only did I make a chart, you guys, but I put the sources under each part as for the citation, so that if anybody wants to, you can click on it and it'll take you to the peer-reviewed literature that I might have referenced. So maybe I can do something on my community page where I upload this document that I created, so that if anybody is interested in any of these disorders or looking into them any further, you know that you're at least going to a peer-reviewed document for the information, right? Mm-hmm. So I just think that there's a deliberate type of behavior with the personality disorders where there's the opposite with the other type of disorders. And I see him more as a deliberate type person, more so I see him more as calculating and not like, oops, I didn't realize you were upset.
He's dumbing himself down for this trial.
Yes. I can't believe he's allowing it.
You know, like, you are an educated, smart.
And wait, let's just make it clear, because I don't want anybody to think, because technically I have ADHD and I've been placed somewhat mildly on the autism spectrum. So we are not saying anybody that is autistic is less smart than somebody with a personality disorder, but somebody will hear what we just said and that's what they're going to hear. And that's not what we mean.
I think
explain.
He has constantly prided himself on going further and further and further, you're allowing the fence to bring you down notches, and which it doesn't make sense to me either, especially from his past behaviors that we've seen. So again, for me, because of the contradiction, I almost feel like this is where the antisocial sociopathic tendencies come in, because you're almost, to me, playing the system on purpose because you're that smart and wanting to prove your innocence. So you're going to allow them to say you have this, and this, instead of how you originally handled yourselves and behaved during all of your years of being.
And can you imagine?
And
you've dated a narcissist. Can you imagine somebody? So you guys, if you're a narcissist, like, you're marked by an exaggerated sense of self. So you want to feel grand. You want to feel like on top of the world. And the opposite of that would be to feel humiliated. So I almost feel like, I wonder how much of this, or how far he'll allow this to go before, like you said, he stops it and he's like, like, so kind of like, how BTK, when BTK got caught, you guys, I don't know if anybody remembers, but he pled guilty, right? I believe it was. And I just remember him standing in the courtroom and he just went through all of his acts, and as if it was nothing, like as if he was like, and then at 9 o'clock, I ate breakfast. And by noon, I sat with Anya for a department meeting and was home by 4. Like, it was as, like, what the hell? And so he was just talking as if he was just having a normal conversation. But I think that it was a good depiction of somebody with antisocial personality that just doesn't realize, like there was literally the one survivor of him was in the courtroom, like hysterical, like, I don't know, there's just no connection. Yeah. There's no remorse.
Or it could be that he's so narcissistic and so deceptive that he truly has built this image in his mind that he knows he can play the system by doing this manipulation. And that's giving him the, oh my God, I'm so much smarter than every single person in this room. So it could go that way too.
I think that's exactly what it is. If he's allowing this, if he's allowing this and he's a narcissist, like I truly believe, she is 100% right. Because I'm thinking in my head, why, like, how far is he going to let this go before he's like, but again, you're right. He thinks he's smarter than all of us. He's playing chess. We're playing checkers. The problem is he's the one that gets fucking played in the end. Checkmate it, right? So, but he thinks he's like the grand master of chess. Like, he thinks he's like the almighty. And the problem is with a narcissist, you guys, is that they truly believe that they're getting over on us. So, and for some people, they do get over on them. And if you're somebody who's gotten over on by a narcissist, we all have probably at some point of another, even if you don't realize it, right? Narcissists and people with antisocial, they're so good at, getting over on you in that way that you wouldn't even all the time realize it.
But I think this is where the actual court case is going to come in to play a big part. So I'm hoping that it's televised. And if it goes on for a long period of time and people keep hammering into him, and he is this true narcissist that we think is happening, he may break. And you might actually see that live. Because at some point, just like everybody else, they have a breaking point too. And someone may say something where he just can't handle it. If the narcissism is truly that high up there.
You're right. We have another person in here that has a narcissistic ex.
Yeah,
that's the thing, you guys. A lot of people in here have had a narcissistic ex at some point. You have to remember, a narcissist is often, and again, not always, because this is the thing. I want to be careful because I don't want somebody to be like, oh, well, that's not exactly how Bryan Kohberger is. There's different types of narcissists, but the ones that you guys are probably most familiar with is the type that's like charming and they're they're fun to be around and they get to know what you like so that they can mirror that and get what you like or be who you like type thing. So it's like a game in that sense. With Bryan Kohberger, there's also this type. He's more of like that Chris Watts, like, where he's just like going under, not Chris Watts. Chris Watts was more of like a super dad type thing, that like event. But there's a spectrum. Yeah, covert versus overt. There's a whole spectrum, you guys. So Kohberger can fit on this spectrum of narcissism and antisocial, and not necessarily look like the person that maybe you or Anya or somebody else have dated in the past. So just keep that in mind as well. Also, that's part of the reason I think that he has schizoid traits. So that would also mitigate some of that, like that charm and stuff. Although, who knows? Remember when he told that girl she had great birthing hips? Like, you have to really be, you know what I mean? Like, who says that? Like, who thinks that that's you know what I mean? Like, he was going right for the gusto. He was like, listen, like, you're up on the top of the ladder. Like, I get it. All right, so let's see. Luckily, I'm a little messed in the head too, aren't we all, Cleo? I'd probably scare him out of my neighborhood. I'm not violent though. I just have crazy eyes. That's funny that you say that. I have a crazy scream, and I have like a exaggerated startle reflex, big time. And I probably would scream so loud they would probably wind up, I don't know. My mom used to say, wait, isn't this terrible? My mom used to be like, oh, don't worry. If they stole you, they would wind up dropping you off an hour later, because I wouldn't shut up. I was like, okay, enough.
Thanks, Ma.
Yeah, right? Enough of that. All right, so let's watch another part of this. Let's see.
This selfie of Bryan Kohberger, look at this. Prosecutors say that he took it just hours after the fatal stabbings occurred. And you can see he's given a thumbs up in the photo for whatever reason, wearing a dress shirt all buttoned up, all the way, his collar buttoned up, and he has what appears to be wireless earbuds in his ears. First, it kind of looks like hair when you see it, but those are earbuds. We took a closer look. And there's a hearing coming up on April 9th to address all of these issues that are coming up. And we're talking about it now. We're not waiting till April 9th. Let me bring in our guest I'm so happy to have on the program, criminology expert, professor and author, Dr. Debbie Goodman, and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor, Joe Tamburino. Good morning to you both. Let's start with the Kohberger selfie. It seems to be kind of breaking the internet. So many people examining every little thing that's in that picture. Dr. Debbie, we're dying to hear your thoughts, please.
Thank you. Good morning. My thoughts, Julie, slam dunk, and here's why. If we were to open any college or university textbook on serial and mass murderers, this is absolutely one of these checkpoints and check marks of what these individuals do. I actually have the exact quote, Julie. I remember seeing an interview days before Ted Bundy was executed, and a journalist asked him, why did you take photos of victims in the crime scene? And here's his exact quote: when you work hard to do something right, you don't want to forget it. So
that's crazy quote, right? So
That's a good quote.
What was it again? If you want
to remember something
wait,
significant, you want to document it, kind of thing.
Something that you do right, yeah. Let's see what she said, because we both got that wrong.
Yeah.
And a journalist asked him, why did you take photos of victims in the crime scene? And here's his exact quote: when you work hard to do something right, you don't want to forget it. So I feel that this photo is so eerie and chilling, yet very indicative of this individual wanting to remember what he did. And I think it's absolutely a nod to his guilt. We see him in what appears to be a bathroom, a shower, nicely dressed, this thumbs up, a smirk, a smug. And there's, again, this sense of pride and pleasure that he exudes. And Julie, you had said at the onset, is some of this a coincidence? I can assure you, as a criminologist, there is absolutely zero coincidence when it comes to murder. This is very significant, very substantial.
There we go. So I was afraid it was going to get me for copyright. I'm like, is this going to be too long? But I totally agree with her, right? So, and I do think so. You don't see it as much here, but see right here, there is a shower curtain here.
I do not see it.
I know you can't see it as much in that picture. I'll have to pull up a different one and see. Wait, let me see. I also know that one of the news organizations already doctored it, because I was looking, and you guys have to be careful when you look at stuff. We always teach people to think critically. So look critically too. And that was one of the things I noticed, is that in one of the pictures in the background, it might be the one we're looking at. Or no, maybe they just cropped it. So there's a picture though where somebody already doctored the background, and they didn't do it for like they weren't trying to be malicious, but if you put it next to the probable cause, or not probable cause, next to the court documents, you could see that like in the background, the bar's missing, or it's like off to the side. Like it's just different. So I'm wondering if that's why we don't see it. So I'm going to switch over real quick and pull this one up and see if this is the same one, but I think this might be the one. Hold on. That may say, but yeah, so I do think that is quite eerie though. Before I pull it up, I'm just going to see if it's very different. No, it's literally the same thing, only it doesn't have the rest of the stuff around it. So maybe I do pull it up just to see if you see anything different in it. All right, it was right. Nope, that wasn't it. Here it is. Do you see the bar up here? You didn't see that in the last one.
I don't see anything.
I believe this is the original. This one says state of Idaho. This is one question I have for you. You don't see a shower curtain here?
No.
Does anybody else see a shower curtain? Am I cray? I could be. Like, it wouldn't be the first time. Okay, it wouldn't be the first time that I would be considered crazy.
And I'm just going off of what.
Does anybody else see a shower curtain? Maybe it's me.
When I watched like some of the news stuff, they happened to mention that they didn't think the shower curtain was there, and it was part of the OCD. But I have no idea.
So True thinks that it's a white shower curtain. I see it all the way to the right. Somebody else sees it all the way to the right too.
I'm not sure if that's a shower curtain, though.
I don't know. I see.
If that's a sliver of white. It could be the outside
PKC, hey.
I'm not really sure.
Huh. Harley O'Hara,
Either
what do
way,
you think?
Either way.
Yeah, but it kind of is a big deal, right? Because, well, not that it's a big deal. Like, it doesn't mean that it's not going to prove anything different. But
once they find him guilty, this is, disturbing.
If they find him guilty. Yeah. Right. It is disturbing. So let me ask you guys a question. Even in chat, please let me know. Do you guys think that he's holding something in his hand? This is my thing. And then after listening to that criminologist, I almost feel like I'm dead on with something, because she even said it, that that Ted Bundy took pictures because he wanted to show that like he did something right. I think right here, because he went back to the crime scene, this is my opinion, because he had already gone back to the crime scene and there was no police officers there yet, because at this point, the police weren't even called for another hour and a half. So in his head, nobody's even there yet. It's like, I got away with this. He goes home, he gets a shower or whatever, and he's like, but I feel like by re-looking at this, first of all, I see contempt in his face, but by looking at this again, it brings him back there. Daniel from Drunk Turkey said that and I have to go back, I didn't get a chance to watch Psycho again, but if you look at like American Psycho or whatever, that he's wearing the earbuds and everything, that it almost looks the same as that, and he's in the shower with that famous shower scene. So I would like to look that up eventually to see if I see something there. But this is my thing. If you look at his knuckles, like they're really, like it looks like he's really holding something in his hand. And again, I could be dead off, but when I make a fist, doesn't your fingers come around more than where his are? Like, I feel like he's holding something. Everybody try it real quick.
But then I'm not
seriously,
sure.
if you got into a fight in Philly with a fist like that, you'd be fucked up.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a little thumb now. Not that it matters.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's got this little like chubby thumb or something. I don't know what it is. He would hate to hear, especially because we all know, even if you lose weight, once you're big, especially in your childhood years, you always kind of, not always, but you always have that big person syndrome in the back of your head. I know that I do sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, all right. So then while we're finishing up that conversation, go back to the other screen again. Well, let me see something else too. Let's see what else they have to say.
Great analysis. Thank you for that. Joe Tamburino, I want to ask you about the Amazon search history and the knife that he purchased months before the homicides. We purchased the exact same kind of knife just to see what it would look like for our documentary. This is heavy. This is really, this is huge. I held this once before. I want to be so careful as I'm pulling it out. Oh. I don't want to yank it out. I'll do it as you're talking, Joe, very carefully and then hold it up. Tell me, do you think the defense has a chance to keep the jury from knowing about him buying this ahead of time?
Okay, so before he answers, and just because I don't want to get like a copyright strike, you have to stop every now and then. So that was a little bit dramatic now. A little bit dramatic. She was like, I'm going to take it out easily while you talk, Joe. Okay. But I will say this, though. When she did, like, when you just saw it, like, you know, go up close, it's actually way bigger than I think I thought it was. I already knew that it was a big knife, but I don't think that I don't think I thought it was as big as what it is. Even so, Jeff, I don't know if Jeff will be in here eventually, but even Jeff did a comparison. Dylan says that it looks like he had an attachment in his hand, like a vacuum attachment, you know, like the one that you get the corners with, like,
Yeah.
it like,
Yep.
Okay. So if you put that next to it, because Jeff has a K-bar and then he has the vacuum attachment, they're almost the same size. So you could see why she might have thought that he had like a vacuum attachment of some sort in his hand. If he had, that's assuming that he had the kniff. So wait, let's see what did True say before? So no, I think his hand is a bit swollen from gripping the handle extremely hard. Dr. Vona will not ask me how I know. Oh, Truth. How do you know? Am I setting myself up for failure here? Anyway, so I'll figure it out. If I don't set myself up for failure, I'll put it up there. So your knuckles look like that when you're holding a roll of quarters. I told you. I'm telling you, it looks like he's holding something. All I know is that if you tried to make a fist like that, like, and tried to, I don't know, it just doesn't look like, when I put my fist together, I feel like it closes more. The way his is, it's kind of like, I don't know. But then Truth writes, Dr. Vona, if you held the handle in your hand and punched someone in the face or used the butt of the handle for bludgeoning, it would or could make your hand swell, even though it's not broken. That is such a great point. And even Bundy hit some of his victims before he got them. That could also explain why they didn't scream. What if he knocks them out with the butt of it first? Maybe not all of them, but like, you know, everybody's like, well, what? And also they did hear noises though, because enough to where she says, shut up out there, I'm trying to sleep type thing. So wait, let's play a little bit more of this and see what Joe has to say.
Good morning, Julie. Zero chance. That history is going to come in. And this is very common in today's world. So here's what happens. When you get into an investigation, one of the first things that a good investigator will do is get search warrants on what you've been Googling, your electronic devices, whether it's a phone or a pad. Why? Because in today's world, we all look on the internet and we purchase things, whether it's shampoo, soap, clothes, whatever it is. It tells the investigator what a person is looking for, which goes to their state of mind. So if they could lay foundation, meaning that they're able to show based on the search warrant that this was his Amazon account, and in fact, order this, they paid for it through some means, whether PayPal account or his credit cards or something like that, they're going to get it admitted. Now, the defense could say, well, wait a minute, it has less weight because he shared this account with Tom, Dick, Harry, whoever it was. But still, this is coming in and it's going to be damaging evidence for him.
Joe, thank you so much for that. So I got it out.
So do you agree? I agree with everything he just said, right?
Yep.
Yeah, right. Let me see if I can put this on 1.25 or something just to make it a little bit faster. And that way it's not the exact same thing.
Look how large this is. This gives me chills seeing this, holding it. It's so heavy. It's so big. It's so awkward in this big, giant sheath. And we know it was on the snap of this knife sheath where Bryan Kohberger's DNA was found, that touch DNA. Dr. Debbie, what does this choice of weapon say to you?
It says it was very planned, Julie, very purposeful, premeditated. With mass and serial killers, they're extremely selective about everything, about their victims, the day, the time, the location, and the weapon. And when it comes to these types of depraved killers, the three weapons, if you will, tend to be the gun, the knife, and the ligature. So the fact that this search was done in March, 8 months before the tragedy in November, again, points to what we have discussed on several occasions, and that is, at least in my opinion, the level of planning that went into this was very lengthy, and I believe this individual has thought for a considerable period of time selecting that exact weapon that, by the way, the military also uses for defensive tactics and training purposes. And I know there's been back and forth discussion online and social media, or what if he's a fisherman, and what if he's a hunter, or what if he's in the military? And the answer to all three is he's none of the above.
Dr. Deb.
Oh, that was good, right? He's none of the above. So this is my thing. It was a long time before he went there. So she is right about that. Like, if he is found guilty, that means that doesn't mean that he definitely had this premeditated since March. No, not necessarily, but we know that he has a gun too. So I would argue that you could say that it was part of his plan. Like, some people might say, well, he was moving. What if he wanted to have some kind of self-defense or whatever? What would you say to that?
I think this goes back to what we had discussed in one of our previous things. To me, the fact that if we think this is his first killing, if this was him, and why would you choose this way if it wasn't planned? I don't think you would, because using a knife is so personal. When we look at all killers and why they use the knife, it's the same thing with strangulation. They like to have feel the life coming out of that body. I don't think someone who did not plan this would automatically go and try and kill 4 people for their first kill. That just seems like an overkill, especially if you're trying to, get away with it. And, to kill 4 people, that's hard to do, especially with a knife. But I think it also comes down to what we were talking about with the schizoid traits. This is where I think the schizoid traits come in, because I think he purposefully chose these. Well, at least he chose 1 or 2 of the girls, I think. And the other 2 or 3 may have been incidental just because of circumstance. But I think he developed like a relationship of some sort without these people knowing. That's where the schizoid comes in. Planned this whole thing, had some sort of feelings towards them, why he chose the knife, because it was so personal. He wanted to be up close and personal, because the easy way to kill somebody is with a gun. So why wouldn't you do that if it was just about the death itself?
Yeah, you're right about that. And I believe that that's what makes him different than a mass murder. Like, I think people always say, like, do you think he would have been a serial or a mass? And I say that he would have been a serial killer, because I know that he's considered a mass murderer as of right now, at least. But that doesn't mean that he wouldn't have been a serial killer had he gotten away with it, type thing. Do you agree that he fits more of a serial killer than he does a mass murderer?
I do, because I think mass murder is not that they expect to, I don't think they always expect to live in that sense. And mass murderers to me are poorly planned individuals, even though they are planned. It's like, oh, I think, using a bomb will kill as many people as possible. But I don't think they ever expect to make it out alive a lot of the time, or, not be caught because of it. I don't know how to explain it. Where he obviously did not want to be caught, is doing things to hope he was not caught. He even went back to the crime scene, whether to revisit or the fact he said, shit, I left evidence. Can I get it back? And when he couldn't get it back, now I need to do what I need to do to make sure that people don't think that it was me, even if they find the evidence. To me, that's more serial.
No, I hear what you're saying. So Yeah, that's crazy, right? So other people would say that they feel like he was trying to get caught because this is what I think. I don't think that he was trying to get caught. I do think, though, that he, if he did get caught, that he would want it to be like I do think that he wanted to come across the way that he wanted to come across. I do believe all that. I don't think that he wanted to get caught, but I do think that if he did get caught, that he would have wanted to tell his story type thing. And I wonder how that's going to look going through this. So hold on, I'm trying to find these documents, you guys. So let me go back up real quick. So
I
it
also
says,
don't
I
think
just
he wanted to get caught. I think
You
he bit
don't.
off more than he can chew.
Did you hear his sister was writing a book?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm.
So Nikki says, I just seen that his family are witnesses for the purchase of the knife. And then
Yeah,
someone
he's
else
trying to
says that, oh, bless you, Allie. My dog keeps sneezing. So someone else said that it doesn't look like there could be, in my opinion. Oh, he also his hands, but the photo is so low res. I get that. Okay, so Nikki says there were new documents released today. So I'm trying to find them and I don't know where they're at. If somebody finds them, and can you put the link in the chat, or will it not let you do that? I'm still kind of new to this, you guys. I'm still learning. Nikki's going to be right back. But Nikki said that there was new documents today. Truth, I don't know if
I
you're
saw new documents like 2 days ago, within like the last 48 hours.
I just tried to go over there and I didn't see none. Sirius Black is here. Hi, Sirius. I love this woman. She's awesome. So, okay, so Nikki said I'm on it. Nikki, you're the best, yeah. Dr. Vona, it's confirmed. He turned his phone off manually. Really? So we know that, so now there's no saying that his phone just died, or that he didn't do anything to it, or type thing. So wait, Truth, did that come from like these documents today? I literally came home from work. Yes, ma'am. Wait, search Idaho cases of interest. That's right, PKC. I knew the other day I'd looked up something and I'm like, how did I find it? And that's how I found it. You're the best. Idaho cases of interest. All right, here we go. Ada County. Thank you. I love the people that come here. All right, here we go. Oh, and it has like a live stream button. So hopefully I think that it's going to be televised. What do you guys think?
They didn't ask for anything except for that. And then the only other thing the defense asked not to happen is they didn't want the autopsies pictures shown in court. That's what I heard. The two things that they asked for was that, and not to use the word sociopath or psychopath while in court.
That's a little bit, right? Like, again,
yeah. I mean, I don't know if it'll
be
granted, but that is
right. Well, that's my thing.
Yeah.
The only reason that you would want that is because you have a feeling, or maybe the person that you paid to give him. All I could think of in my head, you guys, and this is pure speculation, but all I could think of right now is the defense meeting with the person that gave him the what's it called? The
eval.
Oh my God. Thank you. The eval, and being like, look, this is what I could say he has, but like, you better fight getting this or that out, because he definitely also, like, it could be argued that he has, because why else would they want it out? Like, there would be no other reason.
And one of the, like, an old criminologist said that it could also be on the part of the family. A lot of the times the family agrees with that. They don't want to relive it or see it for themselves. And so that might not be that big of a stretch. But I didn't hear them ask for anything else. So unless something comes up in newer stuff, that was the only two things that I heard that they asked for.
Well, so here goes something new too. So let's see, you guys. Let's see what this says. I made it a little bit bigger here. Wait, let me just look back on the stream to see what you guys say. How the hell do I get rid of that side thing? How do you get rid of that? Oh my God. My nickname is Straight A Stupid, you guys. I graduated with honors, but It takes me a minute. All right, so let's look over these documents. So, all right, so thank you guys again for telling me. So let's see, what is this? Order sealing defendant's exhibit in support of other objected state of motion and limit. So this is the only page for this one. So this is just one page. So it's hereby ordered defendant's exhibit in support of their objection to the state's motion in how do you say that? Limni or whatever. I say that wrong. I don't know why. Self-authentication of record shall be filed under seal pursuant to. Oh, so does that mean they're going to stay under seal? And good cause appearing now, therefore. Yeah, so that's how I took it. If anybody took it different, let me know. But I took it as they're going to remain under seal, that part. All right, so let's see what this page, this one's 2 pages. Let's see what this is. Okay. Based upon the state's motion for permission to exceed page limit filed herein and good cause appearing, it is hereby ordered that the state's reply to the defendant's objection to motion in limine re self-authentication of records in reliance on IRE 803, 6 and 8, IRE 9024 and 11, and or IRE 803, 24 may exceed the page limit. So the order is granted to leave. The order is granted leave to exceed page limit, so they could exceed page limit. So then it says, I hereby certify on today's date a true and correct copy. Okay, so that's the end of that one. And then let's see what the next one is. There was 3 of them. So this one's also 2 pages. And this one, based upon the state's motion to seal the exhibit S1, state response to defendant's 7th motion to compel filed herein is exempt from disclosure and is sealed, all in caps, pursuant to Idaho Court Administrative Rule 32G1 and Idaho Code 74-124C for the reasons stated in the said motion and until hearing can be held on the matter. So ordered, and then that's today's date. Order sealing exhibit. Rebuttal. Okay, so the state's motion to extend state's rebuttal expert disclosure deadline. So I hereby certify on 3/24/25. I served a true and correct copy. So this one is just, I don't understand. What's this one saying?
I don't know.
Oh, I saw. Okay, so oh, they're just keeping it sealed. So is that pretty much what I got you guys today? Is that everything's pretty much sealed still?
Well, obviously
And that,
not, because some of it was disclosed, but maybe not all of it.
yeah, what am I missing
Sealed
here?
Everything's been sealed for the last 2 years. Finally is allowing to come out right before the trial. It was like a handful of pages, like a good
Oh,
amount that
I see here there was objection to state's self-authentication of records filed on the 21st. So this is the judge's response to that. And then the state's motion for permission to exceed page limit was on the 21st. So that's him. So this is his responses to that. But there's still so many more, you guys, that we're waiting. Oh, wait, these all say new from the 19th on. So you're right. There's a ton of new things. And it starts with the 7th motion to compel discovery. I'm going to have to look at these later, but a lot of it has to do with those page limits. Is there anything, you guys, in here that I'm missing or that somebody thinks I need to look into? Let me look in the comments real quick. Oh, why I'm looking for that? What do you guys think about? So they're talking in the chat about the knife sheath. Do you think he left it there on purpose?
No.
Okay.
Nope. I think it was accidental.
Oh, I see. Wait, what's this? Hold on. I got told to look at my phone.
Yep.
Oh, so it's a post from Viviana's. So is this from today? It's from 1 hour ago. What the frig are you doing hopping off of here? I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Hold on. Let me see what Viviana had to say because that is kind of important. Let me do it this way. That way. I'm not sharing everything. So in the meantime, why I looked this up because I do see something that I did not see that I didn't see on there. So
Okay.
Viviana, I don't know if you know who she is. She's this YouTuber that like keeps things like straight as far as when she like making sure that there's no disinformation and stuff like that.
Okay.
So hold on, where do I find the one from today, Truth? Let's see. Why am I like having a hard time here? Hold on. Oh wait, I'm here. Hold on. So let's see. Would I go to videos, I guess? I don't see what Truth's seeing right now, but I'll find it. So
Community
latest
post,
video.
said the
In
community.
the community post? Oh, see, that's what I need to know. Thank you, Doc. I see it. All right, let me switch over. Thank you, Truth. I love this group. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so here's the community post. Thank you, Truth. All right, let me see if I can make this bigger. Okay, so here we go. In the district court of, all right, so comes now the state of Idaho by and through the Latah County prosecuting attorney and submits the following reply to the March 17th defendant's objection to state's motion in limine for the alibi. Ooh. So the defendant's objection or response to the state's motion offers nothing new or substantially different. In fact, the defendant appears to now acknowledge that he does not have any witnesses, potentially other than himself, to establish where he was at the time of the alleged offense, as required by Idaho code. Partial corroboration does not cover the time alleged in the state's charging documents or any affidavit in support of the state's reply to the defendant's objection to the state's motion in limine for the alibi, searching and seizing Mr. Kohberger's person or property. The defendant's objection on page 2, emphasis added. So this is where she has it underlined. So at best, the witness mentioned, by the defendant, Cy Ray, can only testify generally to his opinion about where the defendant was during the early morning of November 13, 2022. Based on the evidence, we know for a fact that cellular analysis cannot show where the defendant was at the time of the alleged offense as required by applicable statute and court rule because the defendant's cell phone was turned off during that time. Boom. Based on the above, the evidence, based on the above and the extensive history of repeated attempts to get the defendant to comply with the disclosure requirements of Idaho code, the court should enter an order prohibiting the defendant from presenting any evidence other than that of the defendant himself, whether by direct or cross-examination in support of any acclaimed alibi regarding the specific place or places where he claims that he would have been at the time of the alleged offense, as required by the reference statute and court rule. And as directed by the Honorable Judge, February 23rd, 2024, ordering setting deadlines and hearing as discussed. So anyway, it's pretty much saying right now that he has to, if he wants to use this as an alibi, that he has to get on the stand and testify.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I guess, means that he no longer has an alibi? Is that what, that's what I'm getting here?
Kind of what
that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, because on the thing that I watched today too, they have two types of maps out, and one was the suspect's vehicle location, and then the suspect's vehicle route. that they used according to the phone hits. So
So is what they're doing coming back to bite them in the ass? So it's almost like you can't use these phone hits to say that he was at the site of the crime, but at the same time, you can't use the phone hits then to say where he was for his alibi either.
Yeah, for his alibi either, maybe.
Damn. Right?
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Wow, you guys. That's crazy. Okay. So he never really had an alibi. Yeah, we know that. So I know that he didn't have one, but he said he had one. Wasn't he like stargazing and it was like the stars weren't even
Oh, that's the other thing. So apparently because he drives around at night, they said, and he's stargazing. Well, the night in question actually was cloudy and raining, apparently. There were no stars. They were sighted. So now you can't even use that as the defense of you're driving around at night. So I don't know. There's a lot of different things that I think are changing, or that we were just implied because we haven't heard anything for 2 years, technically.
Gotcha. So we have Lucy saying that Cy Ray is in Charleston. He has 0 qualifications, and she is coming as a authority as a retired cell networking engineer and software engineer. That's right, Lucy. You tell them. We have ourselves an expert in here. So, Lucy, is there anything as a retired expert in that field? Is there anything that you would add to the conversation related to that? Like, do you think that, like, how important do you think that his phone evidence or lack thereof? Oh, look, so Texas said that it was cloudy and 28 degrees. Who goes stargazing when it's cloudy at 28 degrees? Wait, what's this one say? He cleaned it so well, but apparently forgot a spot. Oh, the knife sheath. Yeah, I hear you. You guys, that's crazy, right? Wait, not going anywhere, but it's time for demo. What is that? I'll have to read all these later. Okay. So while we're waiting for the other one, I want to see if Lucy... No, without access to the data, I can't say. He had apps that would have been tracking his movements. That's what I was going to ask. Oh, that's actually a great... I'm glad that you said that, Lucy. So, Lucy, so I do have a question then. So Lucy's saying that he would have still had other apps tracking him. If you had your phone on airplane mode, let's say, and I don't know if he did. Does anybody know if it was on airplane mode or if he turned it off or I don't know. But even if he had his phone on airplane mode, would the rest of his apps still be updating? So like, would there still be apps that are saying that you are, here or whatever? I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Well, even if he has the location on his phone set to on, it's going to track wherever.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Even if he's using a weather app. I don't know about you, but like I have a weather app, and just when I go into the next county, and I bring up the weather app, it'll tell me that I'm in the new county.
You're right.
Something that simple could be.
No, you're right. Because if I look at my weather here, like in the morning to see how to get dressed for work, and then I leave, like it switches over because I go from Pennsylvania to New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And you're right. So it goes from here to Blackwood.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. But I wonder, I'm going to drive on airplane mode next time. I wonder if, like, would your stuff still, so my daughter, Gianna, she was on a plane the other day, and you guys, it was the scariest thing. The reason I tell you this is that she wrote me a goodbye text. And at first I was like, oh, like, and Anya like just made a face because she knows Gianna and she's a little bit dramatic like me. But when I saw this video, you guys, I am so glad that God or whoever was working that night and did not get me that text message, because first of all, it was so sad. She wrote in the text message that she had her bear on her lap. She got her bear. I like want to cry even thinking about it. She sent me this message, but she had her phone on airplane mode. So I never got it. So I said to her, if God forbid something did happen, would I have ever received that? Does anybody know? Like, would I have ever received that at some point? Because she said, she's like, well, my phone, it doesn't mean, she's like, I figured when my phone got back in like service, you would get it. I was like, okay, listen here, dipshit. If the whole plane closed, you know what I mean? It's like, your phone ain't making it. Neither are you. So, but I am like so glad though, you need to take the battery out for foolproof offline. That's good to know. But yeah, so she like wrote me a whole goodbye letter and then sent me like the video of the plane. And I never saw this before, but it had like, it almost looked like, like when the cop cars are coming and they have like the sirens, it looked like, or like blinkers. It looked like it had on its blinkers and the lightning was so close to the plane and the whole plane's going like this the whole time. It was crazy. I'm like, I am so glad that I did not get that text message. I would have, you would have gotten a phone call from me. I would have been hysterical. You would have had to put me away. I was at the airport waiting for her. I'm so glad she came out, but she was like, Mom, I made it. And I was like, what? Meanwhile, I was in the car like this doing I was trying to make a video script. I'm like, and Bryan Kohberger, da-da-da. And here she's sending me like goodbye messages. I'm like, what the hell's happening?
Man.
God forbid. So the server will make a few attempts to deliver the message, but it will soon stop trying. She would have had a heart attack for real. I'm telling you truth. And she said it was so bad. She said that she's like, Mom, I don't know why I picked up on this. She's like, I got like real calm. She's like, and you could tell everybody on the plane that had anxiety disorders. She's like, because they were all starting to like, and she's like, usually she's one of them that would like start, picking. But she said everything from like people biting their fingernails to twisting their hair she's like, people were just baby screaming. And she said the girl next to her was like this the whole time. And then when they landed, I said, did you show her the video? And she goes, nah. She's like, by that point, I just wanted to get the hell off the plane. She's like, I was like, I would have woke her up. Like, she's like, why? So she could have gotten scared. I was like, no, I just would have been like, hey, maybe you want to send somebody a message. I don't know. She was like, no. She's like, I don't know. The whole thing was crazy. But anyway, but so you guys, I don't want to go too long. It's almost 9 o'clock and I've been working all day and I have to work again tomorrow. And so does Dr. Schultz. So we're going to wrap it up here. But is there anything that you want to say before we wrap it up about this new stuff? Did you hear the 911 call and everything, I'm assuming?
I did. I'm not really sure. Like I heard it, but I'm not sure how helpful it's going to be at some point, or them as even witnesses. I'm not really sure how helpful because they already admitted.
I don't think that they need them.
I don't think you need them either. But if they did need them,
I think you're going to need probably Dylan because she said she saw him.
Yeah, but she also said she was drinking, so I'm not really sure if.
Right. So I think that if anything, the defense might call her up.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So I think they might.
Well, because
thank you, Doc and Zake. That's cute.
You're welcome. Or they're gonna use it against the defense is gonna use it and be like, oh well, if he killed 4 people, why wouldn't he have finished the rest of the people in the house? In mentality type of thing. So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it was disturbing, but I guess you have to be in their shoes because for me, I'm like, how are we not calling until 10 something in the morning? How are you not?
I guess
was in your house or you thought you saw.
All right. So maybe we're adding 5 more minutes, you guys, because I do have to respond to this. So this is my thought on this. Ready? So I'm thinking there hasn't been a murder there in 7 years, right? You're 19 or 20 years old. So the 2 that did not get killed were teenagers. They're 19. So think of our kids, right? So picture Gianna. I don't want to say your kid. I put half of his name out there. I apologize if you're watching this, King. I didn't mean to put your name out there. But anyway, so let's say Gianna or somebody's at her apartment with her friends and it's a college thing. the cops come, and they already a few times the cops were like, if we have to come back, you're getting a $300 fine. Or you might be afraid that, are they going to contact your dean? Is that going to get you kicked out? Like, there might have been so many things. And if you're fucked up on top of it, does that make you more scared? Like, so I'm thinking, like, I'm trying to think like a 19-year-old. And the dad, Kaylee's dad, said that she was known for playing pranks. So, and in the messages, Dylan says, we don't know what Dylan says, but we know that Bethany says back, but Xana was wearing all black. So I think that Dylan must have said something like, I saw somebody dressed in black or whatever. And I think Bethany was just trying to make sense of it, because again, I don't think underage drinking, that's right. But I don't think that they were thinking that there was a quadruple homicide. So, and if you look at the 911 call, not the actual call, but the transcript, Bethany literally is like, come down here. Like, and then Dylan says, but I'm scared. Some people think that it says that I'm screwed. It clearly to me says I'm scared, because she then talks about being like, freaking out or whatever. So it says scared to me. I don't care what anybody says. She like misses a letter, but again, it's because she's scared and typing, in my opinion. You know, when you're like freaking out and you misspell things, that's what I think was happening.
But I'm trying to understand why she's scared. You know, like, you just woke up.
She saw the guy leaving she saw somebody leaving. So she did. So then I hear what you're saying. So why didn't
I don't know. I just think it's just odd to me. I don't know. Especially if you eventually go downstairs and the one girl is dead already. And then
no, they didn't know that though, right?
I know, but the way they called the cops, and then they kept passing the phone around, and then
you're saying, did they go up first and then see something? Okay. Is that what you mean?
I don't know how the house is set up, but when she had called the cops and is finally saying, they're like, someone's passed out, but then they keep passing the phone back and forth, and then the 911 call person was getting kind of pissed, because she's like, stop passing the phone. They're like, I need you to go in and tell me if she is alive, if she's breathing. And so I don't know. I guess if it's my friend, I feel like I would have, I don't know, behaved differently, but it's probably just me.
No, I agree.
You know, like, you saw that she was passed out, and you're concerned enough to call 911, but you're not concerned enough to run over to your friend and be like, and like shake her to like wake her.
So I think, in my opinion, I think what happened there was, I think that they were putting together everything that they talked each other out of the night before. So, and this is the house right here, just so you know. So just so you know, where this is Kaylee's room. And then this is, let me see if I can move our pictures. Hold on. Of course not. Wait, let me say. I wonder if I could, I don't know. It's not letting me take it off right now because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But anyway, so over here, you get the general idea. This is the picture. So this is the front of the house. This is the back of the house. So this is the kitchen where where she sees him leaving from. So she sees him come out there. I should just look up Gray Hughes Investigates just to show you real quick, because like just this one thing, because it really does explain it better than I ever could. So
yeah, and do we know who actually was murdered first? Do we know that?
I don't know that we know for sure, but
because I know, so the timeline also came out of the attacks. So they said at 4:04 a.m., the surveillance camera picked up a white Hyundai Elantra. At 4:12 a.m., DoorDash arrives for Canodal. At 4:17 a.m., the security camera, there's a whimper, a thud, and then barking. At 4:22 a.m. to 4:24 a.m., there's a surviving roommates exchange texts with Mortison texts Gonkley calves, and the text goes unanswered. At 10:23 a.m., the surviving roommate texts victims, "Are you up?" And then 11:58 a.m., 911 call was placed.
Gotcha.
So I feel like if you're texting your roommates at 4:22 to 4:24, what were you texting? Because this is after you have heard something at that point.
So that's where, so they did, I'll have to send that to you. So They did come out with what
I did see some of the text message, but it was hard to follow because it was kind of all over the place, and I didn't know the timeline yet.
No, you're right. It was a little bit hard to follow. But I'm going to show you real quick. He does, you guys, he did this 3D model. If anybody has like, I don't know, any 3D glasses, it's crazy. Wait, just let me, this is so crazy, you guys. So this is Gray Hughes Investigate. So everybody go over if you're not already. I know a lot of people think he like yells, but he's really cool. He donates a lot of his money to charity. Since 2000 or 2020, he's donated like almost $250,000.
All the paintings on the walls, et cetera, et cetera. But I just the house right here, and in the front of the house, and then the 3D
so he's
model.
just telling you how he made
that's the front
model.
Door. It does the walkthrough. It's a 3D model that actually walks, and that's why you even get the bumping, like the rocking motion. So you come through the front door, and on the right there is the storage room, and then we've got the bathroom and utility room, and then this is Bethany Funk's room. All right, and then there's the front door again. Then you go upstairs, and then this is the living room. And this isn't the order of how Bryan Kohberger moved around inside the house. It's just a walkthrough that I created at one point. And then down here is Xana Kernodle's room.
So that's where they think Xana
right
was.
There on the right is the same window that you see right here. That window that you're looking at on the right is right there. And that room is right above this room, which was a storage room used by the people of the house, but easily could have been another roommate's room had they chosen it. And there's that window. So then inside that room, exit, and then back out to the living room, and then take a right. And this is sort of like,
so this is Dylan's room.
An entryway to the stairs, a pantry, the kitchen, and then right inside this room right here is Dylan Mortensen's room. And her window's on the back side of the house. And then there's stairs right outside her room. And they go up. And her room is right below Madison Mogen's room. And you go up the stairs. At the top of the stairs, you take a left. And this is on the other side of the house. And it's Kaylee Gonzalez. And her sliding glass door is also on the back side of the house. And then you exit her room. And then there's a bathroom right there. I did no modeling at all in the bathroom. It is irrelevant at all. But I'm showing you where the door is. And then right here is Madison Mogen's room.
Look how small this room is.
Apparently was sitting up in the corner, hunched over. She had been killed, and then Madison Mogen was lying on the bed. And then you go back down, and the knife sheath was on her right-hand side. Then you go down the stairs, and then right to the right, if you're following along and you have spatial awareness, that is Dylan Mortensen's room, and there's a living room. You take a left, and here's the kitchen, and then there's a sliding glass door that the killer left, which is Bryan Kohberger. They went out through the sliding glass door. All right, so now let's take a look at this video. I think you guys will find it interesting. So this is, as you can see, that's my 3D model of the guy entering the home where I put the camera on his head. So right, there's the stairs that go up to the second floor. You can see through the walls here.
So just so you guys know, and so that I don't get copyright strike or whatever, I had to stop it for a second. But he's now showing you, like, this is like, he's very creative, but now he's showing you like the see-through, so you could physically see, like, these are the steps, and you're going to see how Maddie's bedroom is legit right over Dylan's.
That is Bethany Funk's room back there. These are utility room. And then right over here is the storage room. Now from down here, you can look up above and see that this is Xana Kernodle's room right above the storage room. And then way up in that area, you can barely make it out, but that is Madison Mogen's room. And so if you were inside,
So I think he's saying that
Bethany
you're far
Funk's
enough away, you
room
might
over
not
here,
hear it.
you're not directly below Madison Mogen's room. In fact, there's even a bathroom, as you can see up here, that blocks the sound. And there's a window there that actually goes outside. And you can see that from the front of the house. That's the upper left window in that original shot, if you want to rewind and go look at it. All right, so now I'm going to have this
I want you to see where
fade
Dylan's
out,
room is.
and it'll be a solid image. Now,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
take
this is
15
cool.
or 20 seconds. So I'm going to upload this video, the 360-degree video, for you guys to all use. But notice how right there is now solid, and you could just see where things were through the house by using the wireframe. So this is downstairs, and those are the stairs. Now the next clip is just going to jump right up to upstairs in the living room. All right, and so right there's where the TV is. That's the couch. Now look, there's where Madison Mogen's room is. Dylan Mortenson's room's right there through the wall, and then down there is Anna Kernodle's room. All right, and just below is Bethany Funk's room. See that?
Oh, I didn't realize Bethany Funk's room was below there. I think I thought it was on the
And
other
then
side.
there's the stairs that go down to the front door. I hope this is helping you guys. If you guys could leave a comment and let me know what you think, hit that like button, and also subscribe to my channel. During the trial, this will be the place you're going to want to be to figure things out.
So let me just see if there's. But he has like a lot of good videos, you guys. If you wanted to go through and see the
And
house,
we'll be able to look around.
literally.
Now this is the sliding glass door. I didn't make the model of where the washing machine was, etc. exactly where they're supposed to be. It's just a representation of the kitchen, but the sliding glass door is all in that spot. Now we're Dylan's room. Now look at this. She has Madison Mogen's bedroom right below.
Ew, look at
In
how
fact,
that looks. I didn't see that part.
It's like half of her room, starting right over there, is right below the room. This wall there is the bathroom hall from where Xander Kernodle's room is, right over there. All right, so just imagine if you were standing about right at the edge of this dresser and you looked up in the air, that would be Madison Mogen's room. And now we are upstairs, and we apparently are in Madison Mogen's room. And now look down is what Dylan Mortenson was. He could hear it.
So let's just see, because I don't want to.
And there's the deck. That last one was going up the flight of stairs. All right, it was hard to make out exactly where that was, but see, now we're inside of Kaylee's room. All right, there's a sliding glass door. There's a couple of these little closets in there. This one and this one.
And you guys, just so you know, I'm going to stop it there, but just so you guys know, I believe that he has like this thing where like then there I believe there's more than just gray hues, but he has like where you could go on and you could walk through it yourself. So the one night he has like a 3D one. If you look at you could put on the 3D and you could put it on your like 3D goggles. I have like cheapy ones. They're like not anything good. They were like $10. They were like $12 on Amazon, and you put them on and literally like just like you would any other VR glasses, when you look up you see it's the weirdest thing. And I literally like walked through the house and it felt like I was there. And I know that sounds bananas, but it did. Does that make sense? Did you ever like wear the virtual reality glasses?
Yeah, I
literally felt like you were in the Idaho house. So I'm wondering, do you guys think that that's what they're going to use at the trial?
They'll use some. I don't know if they'll use the VR, but they'll use something like this to show, the step by step of how, because I'm sure. I don't think it came out with, like I said, I didn't hear anything about who was killed first or, to fourth and how they think it was all going, but.
So they think that it was the two girls upstairs and then Zan and Ethan.
Yeah. And so if that's the case, we'll hear more about that. So I think they'll definitely do something like this when they're trying to discuss that perspective of how it was done. And,
And we know that the FBI went in and they did a couple of those Faro scans or whatever. So that's probably absolutely what it's going to be for is VR. So that's good at least to know, right? So that because I was afraid about them tearing the house down, but that's a whole different story in itself. But anyway, you guys, sorry that I just went another 5 or so minutes, but I'm glad that we talked about that because I didn't realize that we didn't talk about it before. So is there any closing thoughts or anything? Are you coming back next week? What can we tell the people, Anya?
Of course. I always want to.
She'll be here, y'all. She'll be here. So next Monday at 7:30, everyone, should we continue with the Kohberger case? I feel like this is what people are into. And then on the side, I'll send you Stephan Sterns stuff. That'll blow your fucking mind. There's 13 new audio calls. Oh my God. You got to listen to them. They're of him and his mommy on the phone.
Oh my God.
You have to. Yeah.
Okay.
Just look up Plunder. She has them. It's crazy. But anyway, so, okay. And they're saying, yes, please, Dr. Schultz, come back. So they love you.
Thanks, guys.
So there you go. So thank you, everybody, to come here. Oh, look how nice that was. It's a real privilege to catch two great minds like this. Well, they should tell him like that, our boss.
Yeah, right.
That was a joke.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for coming. And we will see you next week at 7:30.
Night.
Thank you, everyone. 7:30 Eastern. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Please like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed this so that I can continue to bring you content. Thank you so much.